Hey, what's up, guys? It's the Ace Michaels Show. Ace Michaels is with you today in the house, baby. Like Elvis used to say, Ace Michaels is in the house. That's what he used to say. He didn't say it to anybody but nobody, but he used to say it. Anyway, that's what's up today. I have a guest on the show. This gentleman is a icon. He's an icon in the Las Vegas entertainment community. When I say he's an icon, that means that people know of him before they meet him. I knew of him before I met him. Just now, I've known of this gentleman for years, and today is the first day that our noses touched. Please welcome Rusty Meyers to the show.
No, stop, please.
And it's not weird that Rusty's doing his own audience. I'm not doing that.
It's crazy.
That's Rusty doing his own audience. I've been doing this show for 9 years. I've never had anybody do their own audience. I love it. Rusty, how you doing, man?
I'm okay. It's all right.
Are you sure?
It's good to meet you. Ace is the place. The helpful hardware man. It's great to be here. Listening to me. I don't know.
So Rusty, you're a professional actor.
That's what I've heard.
You're a professional, and that distinction is hard to come by.
Well, professional is if you look it up, there's a definitive term, and usually has something to do with getting paid.
Right.
And that's what I had. I just had been doing it for so long that I, for free all through high school and college, and
Right.
I could go back through all of the dozens and dozens of plays and musicals that I did all through high school, and fortunately even got paid to go to college to do it.
Yes.
But
amens.
and when I started doing that, it was just like, wow, I'll do this. This is fun, And then realizing, oh, wait a minute, there's money to be made. Well, after I got out of high school and went through my first year of college, there was a theater company in Cripple Creek. I went to college in Arizona, in Cripple Creek, Colorado, and they were auditioning. It's a
What
summer
the hell
stock.
is Cripple Creek? Hold on, you can't just
Going up to Cripple Creek, going on a run, going up to
I
Cripple
don't
Creek.
mean to interrupt you, Rusty, but what in the hell is Crystal Creek? What?
Cripple-
Crystal Creek?
Cripple Creek.
That's what it's called, Cripple Creek?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
That sounds like some racist stuff right there.
It could be.
Cripple
It's a little
Creek?
mining town way
Oh,
up
no,
above
hell no.
Colorado
You're making
Springs.
it worse. Do
Yeah.
not clarify with that.
Yeah.
It's a little mining town?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
hell
there are a couple thousand people that live there during the summer and like 20 that live there during the winter because it's way, way up there. And I had went in and I drove my 69 AMC Rebel up there from Arizona and auditioned. And
This interview is getting more and more Caucasian as it goes. What? I don't even understand what that car is. What kind of car is that?
Yeah,
that's
it's
a redneck car,
yes,
bro.
it is. Yeah. Yeah.
What did you call it? What kind of car is
It's
that?
called an AMC Rebel. No, it didn't have
Okay,
like
I've been
a
stopped.
swastika on the
AMC.
side or anything like
An
that.
AMC Rebel.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
It's kind of a gremlin or thing. It was, one of those crazy.
An AMC Rebel.
Yeah.
Well, who's AMC? Didn't they make the Pacer?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it was a car, man.
Wow.
$700, and I was happy to have a car.
Right.
But I drove up there on my own, and it was like, I don't know.
In an AMC Rebel, of
Yeah.
course, you're going to be on your own
Made
a
it.
lot, buddy.
Yeah. And it was a show, this is the theater. This was like their 29th or 30th season, and they did melodramas or Victorian dramas up there.
Okay.
And I went and auditioned, and I ended up getting it. And so they let me stay there, and they gave room and board, and they paid me $85 a week.
Nice.
Yeah,
You were living on the hog.
I would have
there.
done it for nothing. But here was the trip: was we had to have the show memorized in 3 days.
Wow.
Now, I was the youngest actor ever to perform at this theater. I was 18.
Uh-huh.
We put the show up in 9 days. Now, in high school and in college, you'd rehearse for 2 months before you'd put up a show for maybe 2 weekends.
Yes.
And the fact that we did this so quickly and put it on, we did a show twice a day, 6 days a week, 150 shows.
Woo.
I went back to college after the summer, and the guys that I used to, used to work with in high school, and some of them went to the same college, and we did many shows there. I said, you have no clue on what the real world is out there in theater. This is not what we're doing, is not what's out there if you have any intention of doing this for a living. High school and college, they're really not teaching you, what it's like to be out there. So I got back, and fortunately I was able to, we lost the theater department director that year, so they had me direct the plays and shows there and actually teach while I'm a student at the plays. So after I got out of college, I mean, I'm jumping around a little bit because I don't need to go through my entire history.
No, man, get out your seat and jump around.
But okay. But anyway, so I moved to LA. I said, hell with it. This is in '77. I moved there. I was 19.
Yes.
And with $150 in my pocket. I went there. I'd been there.
That's
one
more
time.
than some artists have in their pocket now.
Yeah.
So you're doing fine.
Yeah, right.
You were killing it, bro.
Well, I had lived
ahead of the curve.
Right. I had lived at college. They put me, I had a dorm room of my own and all that as well. So I had really never lived on my own other than at college, where everybody's kind of around. But I moved there, and I found an apartment, and now I have a '73 Mustang 2 Mach 1.
Okay, now you're getting chicks. That makes more sense. Yeah.
And so I ended
Well,
up.
you're a handsome guy. I was wondering what you were doing at AMC because I was like, this guy's not ugly though.
Yeah.
It seems like he's got a decent sized penis. What's he doing?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Hey, 4 inches, is not a bad start.
Okay, sir, you are too much offering now. You're sharing too much. But listen, I want to go back, Rusty. Okay, I don't want to go back to the beginning of Rusty was a baby. But I want to go back to, you mentioned something that all the actors, and I don't understand this because I'm not an actor myself, all of the actors say this same thing. They go, I auditioned for this role, and then there's a beat, and then they go, and I got it. And it's like, is auditioning that hard?
Yeah.
Is it?
It actually
he took
is.
no hesitation. He's like, yeah,
for me,
it is, dog.
For me, it was. And because I was so used to stage, and then I moved to LA, and I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm going to take the film and TV world by storm. Yeah, no. I had no clue.
So these auditions, now, because again, for the lay person, for us who don't, we don't do this for a living, we don't even aspire to do this, how hard is it?
Now we're going back to the penis thing?
No, sorry, wrong.
Okay.
Not two guys talking about penises. Not going to happen.
Damn.
Listen, we could sit here and sing a ballad together. That would be fine. I wouldn't write you a ballad.
Right.
That would be queer, gay. But I will go ahead.
Not that anything's
sing
wrong with that.
No, not in this culture. Absolutely not. Superman's going to be gay, by the way, too. You know that, right?
Yeah.
The new Superman is bisexual.
Sure.
What do you think of that as an actor? Would you play gay Superman?
I've played gay characters.
But gay Superman, though, dog. That's
why not?
The ultimate.
Hey, it's a challenge.
Superman's like the ultimate male, embodiment of everything all masculine.
Well,
you can't be more masculine than Superman.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to go with the male being masculine as opposed to feminine, a man's a man. And
right.
he or they can act however they want to.
You think so?
Why not?
I mean, I'm not disagreeing. My job is to ask you questions and make you think. Yeah. I don't need to think.
Yes, indeed.
But okay, so acting, you said auditions are hard, and I want to talk about that too. But now that we're talking about Superman being gay, I actually want to talk to you because you've done some casting as well, don't you? Aren't you a casting director?
Yeah, I do principal casting.
Okay.
As opposed to background stuff. Yeah.
So this is what I wanted to do.
Well, let me just. The old reason I got into that is because I started doing a little bit of directing, and then I was asked to create an acting workshop here in town, which I did.
Nice.
So
Tasty.
I found a lot of actors that needed a lot of help. Not unlike myself, because when I was first starting out and moved to LA and lived in New York and various places, and I had to figure out how this worked for me, because as good of an actor as I thought I was and worked, I never had a regular job in my life other than in the industry.
Oh, wow.
So I was doing theater all over the country.
Now, I just want to, I'm just going to interject.
Sure.
You didn't have a regular job, or you couldn't keep a
Never
regular
had
job?
one.
Okay, never had. Okay, that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep.
Well,
you never had.
I tried it. And it was, I tried it,
said,
but
"I
it was,
tried
first
it."
of all, it was one of those things where, oh, I have to be there at this time and stay for this
Yes,
long? And
yes.
yeah, that's not me. I'll see you in a couple days and I'll do this again.
For
No,
you-
you have to come in tomorrow. Yeah, no.
For you, Rusty, jobs were like marriages. You tried one, it didn't work out. You tried another one.
I never did that drug. I never did the marriage or kids drug either. It was I was married to the career. And
Yeah.
so I was moving and going wherever it took me. And it took me out of town a lot, out of LA, and because I wanted to get out of theater. I didn't like that constant grind of doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And so I started dabbling in, how do I get into film and TV? And I'd go in on things, and it always was tone it down, less is more, blah, blah, blah. And come on, what is that? What does that mean? And I got a few parts here and there, and I ended up moving to Texas, of all places, because I gave myself like 6 years in LA, and it was one of those, if I don't make it, not that if I don't make it, I'm out. It was, if I don't make it here, I got to go somewhere else to do it.
Yeah.
So I, oddly enough, Dallas, and all of a sudden I moved to Dallas, and within 6 months, bam, I get an audition for a movie called Silverado.
Oh, nice.
Western.
Nice.
Costner,
Yes.
Brian Dennehy, Kevin Kline, Scott Glenn, Danny Glover, and I end up auditioning, and I ended up getting it. And they said, and I worked. I played Rosanna Arquette's husband.
You lucky dog.
And I ended up. It was on location in New Mexico. It was like a 13-week contract on the thing. I'm going, what? I only worked 7 days, but I got 13 weeks of pay, which I thought, wow, if this is the industry that I've been missing, this is what I want to do. So I did that movie, and then I thought, by the way,
it's not like that. That you were lucky as
yes,
hell.
absolutely. And so I thought, you know what? Still doing a lot of theater, because there was still a lot of theater in Dallas, which I always loved doing.
Yes.
But it was one of those, man, I got the itch. Now what am I going to do? My brother happened to have moved up to New York because he was a Broadway actor as well. And so he goes, you should come up here and meet my agent. I moved to New York, saw his agent. He goes, you got a great look. I send you out to some agents, see what's what. Ended up meeting with several of them. They started sending me out on auditions, and commercial auditions, oddly enough, are more theatrical because you have all of like 2 seconds to prove to the audience who you are. Or, it's like, is that a cop? Is that the husband? Is that the, so-and-so? And so it's such a visual thing that you need to, be on top of the character right away. But the auditions were also held very much, on camera. So you started knowing lights and camera and movements and vocals and things like that. Mm-hmm. I was a spokesperson for Wendy's Hamburgers with opposite Dave Thomas for 10 years. But I booked, 30, 40 national spots in New York.
Oh, wow.
And I had 6 of them running at one time. That's, my agent was like, this is unheard of. But the difference was I found out and I'll show you a picture of me as a younger kid. Good-looking kid.
Yes.
But I was
modest,
a dime a
too.
dozen. Well, when I show you the picture, you go, yeah, you're right. But I'll tell you, I was a dime a dozen in L.A. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed, built like a brick shithouse.
Yeah.
I had moved to New York. We don't know who you are. We don't have you. We're all, not to be, I'm not a Guido.
You didn't fit a certain stereotype or typecast or what. So listen, Rusty, we called you on the show today because we love you, not in that way. But we wanted to, because you have a tremendous amount of casting experience. So I wanted to play a game with you, my friend, if I could.
Sure.
I wanted to play a game, not in that way. But you have a casting experience, so I would like for you to play this game where we're going to cast roles, okay? And you can pick any famous actor you want, alive or dead, And so I'm going to throw you a role, and you're going to tell me who you, as the casting director, the professional casting director, who you would put in this role. Okay, you ready?
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is a new film. This is a new film, Santa Claus, and we're going to cast Santa and Mrs. Claus. We need 2 A-list actors. All right, so go.
Well, if you have the budget,
The budget's unlimited.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would, just off the top of my head, you have to go with your typical. You always want to go typical.
Okay.
But as a casting director, I also want to go. We could go with a different. Does Santa Claus have to be white? It could be.
That's a good
could
question.
be a variety of ways to go with it. If you think of your typical lawyer, you're going to automatically see this picture in your mind. Like I would have said, oh well, John Goodman. He would have Burl Ives. Back in the day. But you also go, God, could Matthew McConaughey pull off Santa Claus?
Oh, that'd be
what an odd choice.
Santa
but
Claus.
Or the guy from Game of Thrones. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name.
Momoa? Or are you talking Dinklage?
Yeah.
Dinklage would be. I would put Dinklage as Santa Claus. Yeah.
And for Mrs. Claus, did you ask about a Mrs. Claus?
Yes, we got to have Santa and Mrs. Claus because we have to have the 2 A-list actors to sell the movie.
Yeah. Well, then Amy Schumer. Could be a choice. It certainly.
This guy's good. You're razor sharp, Rusty.
Yeah.
Wow. I would pay to see that. So Peter Dinklage as Santa, and Amy Schumer as Mrs. Claus. I like that. That's tasty. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna remake Star Wars now, from the very original Star Wars, the beginning or trilogy. We're starting now with the remake, and again, budget is no option. So who's gonna play the new Luke Skywalker? And who's going to play the new Darth Vader?
The new Luke Skywalker, I would,
And again, these actors don't have to be alive in this scenario, so you can pull from any history of actors that you want.
Jimmy Cagney.
Ooh, as Luke or Darth Vader?
I'm your father, Luke. I don't know. And Walter Brennan could play somebody, but I don't know if anybody knew who he is.
Now, I'm not a good casting director. I'm not a casting director at all, but would you consider Humphrey Bogart as Darth Vader? He's a very dark character. He could be very, very dark.
Of all the towns and all the places and all the world, he used to come to my bar. I don't. Sorry, you did one I don't do. I don't do bogey.
You don't do bogey?
No. I don't actually do, but okay. Here's it'd be a good one. I'm gonna make him an offer to camera feels.
Oh, Brando as Darth Vader? Yeah, I can see Brando as Darth Vader.
Hey, I mean those are.
What do you think about your contemporary actors like Javier Bardem, who's always playing he's always playing a baddie, or what about Christoph Waltz? Christoph Waltz from
the German cat?
Yeah, he's in the Quentin Tarantino movies.
Yeah. Those are the people that I always kind of aspired to. Not now, because back in my time, there were different actors that did things that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's those actors, and I'll update it so your audience would be, it's like, oh, I think I remember who that is. Like a Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh my gosh!
What
a great talented guy. It's a tragic story, but a great talent.
Absolutely.
And by the way, Rusty, you did kick ass with the casting game. How about kudos for?
Oh, thank you.
Those were some great castings. They really were. Those are some really inventive castings. That was good.
Daniel Day-Lewis is another actor and even the females, the Cate Blanchetts and people like that you go to see the movie and you go, wait a minute, who was she?
Right.
You know when you're going to go see a Tom Cruise movie that's Tom Cruise, that's so and so. But when you go into something and you go, I wouldn't have even thought that was him. Yeah. And so, are these little timer bells?
Those are timer bells, but those aren't for you. Don't you give that away. But okay, so that is the timer bell. But I want to bring this up because you are very good at what you do. I had no idea that you were so sharp and proficient at this. So let me run this by you. It's a little bit more controversial topic because we're going to talk about women and you got to be careful when you talk about women because women don't allow you, certain things they're not going to play well. So this is not going to go over well with the women probably, but I want to ask you this. There seems to be a trend in current cinema to take male-dominated roles, male-specific roles that have been popular. We talked about Superman's going to be a bisexual character in the new Superman film. But Captain America is going to be a woman. And they're talking, they actually made a show, but they didn't release it, where Batman, the new Batman-type character from the Batman family, was going to be Batwoman instead of Batman. So as an actor, as a male actor, do you feel we've gone too far with this equality where we're taking, well-known popular male characters and turning them into women? And on the other side of that question, we're also doing the same thing with I don't want to say gentrification. Yeah, gentrification. That's the word I want to use, where we're taking a character that used to be a white Snow White, and now she's a black girl, but she's still called Snow White. Or she's a Latin girl, and she's still called, you get what I'm saying?
Yep. I think that, you're allowed to do whatever you want to, and if it works and it makes money, then, it is what it is. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's up to you. I mean, if a lot of people like sauerkraut, a lot of people don't. Do you blame the sauerkraut? So,
I don't think I've ever heard of that. Ever. I'm not sure I want to hear it again.
No. Well, but my point is I've seen shows that are done, and for example, I've done the musical Oklahoma 6 times all around the country. I've played Curly and Will Parker, actually played them both in the same show once. Okay. And now the show is completely different, and they took this, one of the most iconic musicals of all time and turned it into, what? When a female does Hamlet or a certain person does, look at, Laurence Olivier playing Othello. That was a long time ago, and people would have nowadays. How dare you playing this? John Leguizamo is getting into, hey man, if it's a Latin character, a Latino has to play it. It's like, I'll tell you what, I've played roles that they wanted a black guy, they wanted a woman. I went in there, they go, wow, I never would have thought about it going this way.
Huh.
You know what? I just want the best person.
Is that good though? Like when a role is changed for a different gender, like for example, we know we talked about Superman, and I've talked about Superman.
There are female roles that I would love to play.
Like which one?
Well, when in a again, I'm going to go with musicals and things like that. But there's a role in Man of La Mancha. The role of Aldonzo is beautifully written and vocalized. Nancy in Oliver, and I've done Oliver a couple of times as well. But I was like, wow, what a great role, in these shows. When you see certain things, it's like if you can do it. I'm not saying that you have to play a female.
Yeah.
You have to turn it into a male role. And they've done that with shows, a lot of shows, and it works. It works.
And okay, so Rusty, let me ask you this because I'm immature. What about?
Wait a minute! It's your birthday today. Come on.
Well, no, but I am because I still think
you
it's
don't
a
look
big
a
deal.
day over 70. Come on.
Right. Exactly.
I swear to God.
You
are good, yo.
If only he knew.
Little
Cloning
bit.
is a thing. Cloning happens. No, but if I talk to you about this is one thing that's always been a curiosity to me: is actors kissing on camera? Are you still kissing in character? Are you still who your character is supposed to be when you're kissing another actor? Or, would that be just a natural impulse to the man in you's got to come out. You're kissing someone, and that's going to ignite certain feelings, right?
Yeah, you can take it a little too far. On camera, I think you would be, since it's so technical, and everybody kind of watching, and you have to be in certain angles, and sometimes your lips don't actually match because you're only seeing profiles, so it's a little, not normal. But on stage, you usually have to kiss like regular. It's not like you're open mouth kissing and stuff like that, unless that's called for. I haven't had to do that before, but there were a couple of times that I had a pretty nice co-star, and I thought, I'm kissing her.
And is that hard for your personal relationship?
Again,
Like,
we're back to the hard
yeah,
thing.
like what? Why do I get the feeling
Always
that Rusty
comes
knows
back.
about hard and more than anybody else? But is that hard with your co-star? Like
If they don't know it, yeah. If I did it one time and afterwards I thought, why didn't you slap me? Because it's things have happened to me like that on stage, and I'll just not a kiss, but actors changing, lines, that have been rehearsed to certain ways, or blocking and things along those lines where I didn't expect it, and it would have realistically, my character would not have put up with that. For example, I did West Side Story.
Okay.
And I was playing action, and one of the guys in the show playing a lesser character in West Side Story. There's kind of a pecking order, and action is pretty high up there, and he's very volatile. And I remember this, and I was the only person that was allowed to smoke. Because it was an equity thing, and I remember this one kid. He came up and he took the cigarette behind my ear and was going to start to smoke it. And I thought, my first intention, I guess, or natural reaction, as in character, not that I'm method, I know the difference, but it was like he would have grabbed that kid and thrown him on the ground and beat the shit out of him.
Right.
I didn't, and I was only on stage for another minute or so after that particular part of the show, and so I walked off stage. Waited till this kid walked off stage, and I grabbed him and I threw him up against the wall. I said, "Dude, you're lucky I didn't do this on, while we were on stage, because that wouldn't have been right. But you also screwed up my character, because everybody in the audience knows that he wouldn't have taken that." So it kind of screwed me up. So going back to the kissing thing, I think if you start kissing, all of a sudden you're getting into it, and you start, getting a little more excited than the actress expected, she might be, dude, come on, moonlight, snap out of it.
Right.
But it's, you can only take it to so far, I think.
Now, what about other aggressive things, Rusty? Like playing dark characters. Like, would you? Obviously, you're an actor. You're gonna take a role as a pimp or a drug dealer. You're an actor, so you're gonna play the role. But do you have any personal feelings? Like, you get a script and you go, ooh, really? You know what I'm saying?
Well, if I, as an actor, I either break it down where, is this something that I could play? Could I do this something where I could really dig in and make this my own, and not only just for me, because a lot of actors just act for themselves, and some people just like, hey, I'm doing it for the audience. It's all your call. But how you get there in your process is, I don't care. You were talking to somebody a couple of days ago about techniques and things, and there are so many different styles and how to get theirs. And I'll tell you what, the techniques that most of these people just kind of almost name drop, most of those people, the Meisners and Uta Hagens and Strasbergs and all of these people, they're dead. And they have been dead a long time. And if you look up some of these people on IMDb, their acting, credits are very limited. It was because not every actor can coach, not every coach can act, right. And that's okay. But most of those techniques are for stage. So it took me a long time to figure out what worked for me and how to break these things down and make it my own, to where I could start actually auditioning and booking. And when I came to Las Vegas after LA and New York and back to LA, and I thought, you know what? Not that I would have loved to stayed in New York, because I was killing it. But New York winters are and LA is not an easy place to live. I mean, they're both very expensive. But when I came and kind of hung my hat here in the mid-'90s here, I started looking around and realized I know there are movies that are being shot here. There are
Yeah,
television
yeah.
shows that are being shot here. And I would go into these auditions and I would book everything. And it was because the casting people were from LA or somewhere else, because there were very few of, if any, casting directors here in LA, here in Las Vegas, that knew what they were doing. They were all doing background stuff. And so they would bring in somebody from LA and they would see all of these people and the agents would just click the send all button. And as a casting director, I don't want to see everybody. I want to see the people who are right for it, because I have to narrow it down to a certain amount of people.
Yes.
So when I would go into these auditions and I'd see people, I literally would see people going in there with a Polaroid picture and a handwritten resume. I'm going, what are you doing here? Oh, my agent sent me in. I went, you have an agent? And you're coming in to audition for, XYZ real movie? You don't have a shot in hell. I mean, I don't think that, a newbie shouldn't be seen, but you're wasting a lot of people's time if you're really not right for something. And, and it's opposite. I mean, I've done things here in town opposite major stars. They're not going to have somebody that doesn't have that on their resume and have them seen, even if they might be right for it. So the thing is they would see these people and 20, 30, 40 people would be going in, and the casting people going, is this all you got? And I would walk in and they almost like, okay, next. I'd walk in and I have all my shit together and here's the scene. And they go, oh my God. Where are all of you? I said, there aren't many of us as far as I know. And so it was frustrating to them. They stopped coming. And the few things that are cast here, very few principal, especially union principal roles, even day player roles, are cast from locals because they just don't have the time. And so many of these actors have no training whatsoever, and most of them are, if they studied with somebody, they're studying with somebody who is basically reading the book that somebody else read the book, because you can't take Meisner for a couple of months and think you know what his whole
His
technique was about. Stanislavski and all the name them all. I've taken them all for the entire length of time you have to do it, and realized this works for me, this doesn't work for me, this works for me. So I blended my own thing together, and which made that work. So I started booking. And fortunately, when I was starting to cast and having an acting workshop, I was able to, kind of pick and choose people that you could do it. You need some training. You need to know what you're doing, and because it's not as easy as people think. I mean, it's easy when it looks easy, but
Sure.
but it's not.
Now, you mentioned the time bell earlier, so I got time for maybe one more question, and I want to ask you about something that you said, which I thought was very, very brilliant, that you mentioned movies that used to be made. You didn't really say this, by the way. I'm just took what you said and I transformed it into what I wanted to say, right?
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
you were talking about movies being made back in, say, like West Side Story. I want to say like movies from the 50s to maybe the early 70s were pretty much stage shows that were shot. The way they were shot, the way they were blocked, the way they were acted was pretty much like you were watching a play, but somebody was filming it. Then in the 70s, we got into this new style of filmmaking where the camera's like really in the actors' faces. We're cutting away to like the guy says what time it is, and so then we cut away to his hand on a watch, or we maybe see a cutaway to the clock tower. And this was a new style of filmmaking. In the 80s, it was more of a, I can't go through all these decades. I only know a little bit about film. So, but now the question is, I want to say to you, now we're in what I would call the CGI stage, where every movie, even television shows, I was watching Big Bang Theory the other day, and they had this wonderful CGI joke that they did where they split one character in two right in front of your eyes. But that was all computer generated, of course, right? So my question for you, Rusty, and this is the last question I get to ask, we're right out of time, is do you feel that the new future of filmmaking with CGI and computer assisted graphics, is that going to be a detriment or an advantage to the film industry ultimately?
I think it might be a detriment to those that kind of can't conform to that. Acting opposite a tennis ball isn't as easy as opposite Meryl Streep, but because the tennis ball is not going to give you much. Then you got to think about all of the, what is it, AI and all the things. It's like that's not even a real person. I mean, I not that I'm against, the what's the swimming thing, the not Matrix, but it's the thing, all the things underwater. They just had something.
Oh, Avatar.
Avatar.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. I mean, and you think, wow, there's actually an actor somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But it's tough. I'm lucky. I'm collecting my SAG-AFTRA equity pensions and semi-retired, so I don't have to kind of worry about it too much anymore. But from time to time, I do get asked to act and cast and stuff. You were originally said something about my name. I am part Irish, and there was a gig that came up on Facebook somewhere, and they were looking for an Irish guy, and I contacted them, and I contacted them in character. I said, I heard you were looking for a such and such from so-and-so that lives in Las Vegas, and it's for this voice, the podcast. And they go, yeah, and it was there's somebody up in Canada, and so we talked for a bit. He goes, oh my God, would you mind, like, we do a Zoom call or whatever? I said, no, that's all right. Just send me the sides and I'll try it and see what I can do.
Yeah.
Send me the sides. He's digging it. The client's loving it. And then he starts saying, he goes, so where in Ireland were you born? He goes, well, to tell you the truth, I wasn't born in Ireland. He goes, well, where were you born? I said, born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But I thought you were, a lot of people think that I was from there. And he goes, yeah, but I lived in L.A. and New York and California and in Arizona, Michigan. He goes, where'd your accent go? I said, oh, wait, what accent was that? I said, and he was like, wait a minute, what's going on? I said, yeah, smooth as a gravy sandwich, mate. She's a right down Sheila, she is. He goes, what are you doing? I said, how you doing? Everything all right? How you doing? Dang, I'm figuring you dang it. I said, it's called an accent. Oh, we wanted somebody actually from Ireland.
Yes.
I said, but I fooled you. Yeah, but we really wanted. Long and the short of it is they couldn't, because they wanted an Irish person from Ireland, lived in Las Vegas, that could handle lots and lots of dialogue off a teleprompter, but even still, and be able to be on-camera friendly and whatnot.
Yes.
And they ended up casting me after a couple of weeks of them looking around. And I said, well, what took you so long? We loved you. And they were really insistent on getting somebody actually from Ireland. I said, well, you weren't able to find it. Yeah, we were going to Irish bars and all these things. So, and I said, so it's a done deal. He goes, yeah. I said, all right, now we can talk about money. I was actually able to turn it from a non-union gig into a union gig, which was a rarity. But what's really weird, after all is said and done, they said, you know what? Forget the Irish accent. I went, well, why? I said, I thought it's for some online gaming thing. And I thought, well, after all that, you dropped the Irish thing. It didn't make a heck of a lot of sense. But hey, that's how the business works. And so other than that, I get asked to, do stuff every once in a while. But unfortunately, things like this kind of keep me, interested, because I still look out for locals, and I, still want the locals to get as much work as they possibly can.
And that is what's up. Hey, today on the show, man, my guest, Rusty Meyers, is a fabulous actor. He's a casting director. He's a working professional in Las Vegas in entertainment, which is awesome. Rusty, how do we reach you on the social media if we want to follow you?
Well, I really don't do that much. If you don't know me already, then you can find me. If you wanna find me, you can find me.
If you don't know me already,
yeah.
I don't need it out.
yeah, you will. But I appreciate you asking, and I'll tell you what. You can find me through Ace Michaels.
Oh,
I'll give him my information.
don't you put that evil on me.
Yeah.
Don't you put that
You're
evil
gonna
on
end
me.
up having to decide.
Ricky Bobby, don't you put that evil on me. All right, man. It's the Ace Michael Show. Rusty Meyers on the show today, guys. If you ever want to be on the show, please come. We'd love to have you. And you know what I say at the end of every show? I still mean it to this day. Live the life you love. Love the life you live. Thank you.
Thank you.